Hey, a lot of people in the conscious community are familiar with who Hassan Campbell is. He's a very popular YouTube blogger now, and his rise to becoming a successful YouTube blogger is very suspicious and very interesting, to say the least. All right, first of all, Hassan Campbell hit the scene a couple of years ago, maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago, as a victim of molestation by Afrika Bambatta. And it was such a huge scandal in the internet conscious community that it went from the local conscious community bloggers to mainstream New York City news stations and even some national mainstream news stations. But the problem was, after everything was said and done and after he exposed everything, he never pursued legal action, and he actually forgave Afrika Bambatta and admitted that he continued to have a friendship with him even after he was molested as a teenager. And as time went on, he developed a YouTube channel as a platform to rebuttal against the criticism that he was receiving because of that. After his support waned and after the story became old, people started to assume that he was pretty much trying to segue his way into a career on YouTube and was lying on Afrika Bambatta due to the fact that so many pictures emerged of the two together after the molestation when he was a teenager, I mean, he's in his mid-40s now, and he has multiple pictures of Afrika Bambatta and has maintained his friendship with him all throughout his 20s, 30s, 40s, 30s, 40s. So he's maintained his friendly relationship with him after being molested for years and years as a teenager. But the interesting thing is, a lot of people assume that he used that as a marketing scheme to get his name out there, because when he first came out with that molestation story, millions of people were interested in that and viewing videos about that. It was the hottest thing on the internet. And then as it started to fade away, and as he stopped rebutting or providing rebuttals against people who was criticizing his intentions, eventually he started talking about social issues. And as time went on, he built up a following because he was known as a very rambunctious, a very intense, a very volatile personality who would get into these various adversarial relationships with people like Sonetta from the House of Consciousness. And he would go so far in insulting people that he would actually criticize and offend and cuss out, cancer victims, cancer survivors, and say things like, "I know your wife survived cancer, Sonetta, but I wish she would have died." And a lot of people liked him. I guess they liked the fact that he was raw. I guess they liked the fact that he was volatile. I guess they liked the fact that he was, the kind of personality who you never knew what he was gonna do next. And until this day, he's actually making a pretty substantial salary from YouTube. We actually seen him go from being a regular citizen with no job, who was living with his wife as a stay-at-home dad, to being the provider of his household. He pays all the bills now, and it's all due to that initial molestation story that he segued into a career. And if that's not further evidence of the conscious community being filled with a lot of scammers and rip-off artists, I don't know what is. Hassan Campbell has multiple attempted murders on his record, according to him. He's always been a criminal. He was a gangster for Afrika Bambatta. He was a protector of Afrika Bambatta. And when he was in a relationship with him sexually throughout his teens, he, really went out of his way to be a shooter for Afrika Bambatta. And he was one of those guys who you had to deal with if you had some type of problem with Afrika Bambatta back in the 90s. So, I'm not mad at him. I mean, I'm happy that he's able to provide for his family financially and he's living a nice lifestyle. But the more and more, as time goes on, people tend to forget his beginnings. He started off as a guy that everybody felt sorry for because we thought that he was a molestation victim of a pioneer of hip hop. But then it turned out that he was actually still friends with the guy and that they were actually in a relationship. So I don't know. His fan base is primarily women, so I don't know if they kind of have sympathy for him or they like the drama or what. But it's just interesting. Another guy in the conscious community who segued his way from a criminal past to a six-figure a year income. Oh, and by the way, I use this saline antioxidant spray in my nose to protect me against COVID. So, you spray it in your nose, and you spray it in your nose, and it constantly, it just leaves you with a running nose. So to everybody wondering if I'm sick or anything like that, no, I'm just, every 4 hours I douse my nose with this saline antioxidant microbacterial spray that protects me against COVID. And it actually has microcultures of certain coronavirus DNA, like tiny microscopic bits, but not the coronaviruses that are going around, another version of the coronavirus. Because the coronavirus is a category of virus that has multiple viruses under it. It's an umbrella term. Peace.